Hello. Hi everyone. How are you all? I hope you've all been quite well. Okay, and it's Monday here in Brisbane, Monday morning, and I would like to say to you guys, welcome to another Exploring IELTS with Fabi. Okay, and again, this is a special edition to get you ready for the workshop IELTS Booster. Juju's itching herself. Can you hear her? Oh my god. Sorry. Yeah, so guys, it's a special edition for the workshop IELTS Booster. Okay, it's going to be an event 100% online, 100% free. Okay, it's going to happen on the 15th of October, which is Saturday. It's going to happen at 9 a.m. here, Brisbane time, which in South America is going to be at around 6 p.m. Okay, then it comes to where you are. Are you in Colombia, Brazil? Okay, and in this workshop, I'll tell you everything you need to know to get the score you need on the IELTS test, doing the test only once. All right, so if you want to participate, okay, and have a look at this event, if you are watching this on Instagram, you can go over to the bio and click there for the link. Or if you're watching this on Facebook or Instagram, just click below. All right, okay. So today, our topic is pretty cool. Oh, sorry. My name is Fabi. I forgot to say who I am. You probably know who I am, but I'm gonna tell you anyways. My name is Fabi. I'm an English teacher. I live here in Brisbane, Australia. And I teach English at universities and English colleges here in Brisbane. And my specialty is to help people get the score they need on the IELTS test, okay? And guys, if you have any questions concerning writing, you can pop the questions in there. I'll probably get to the questions at the end, okay? But if you have any questions that you really want to ask, or as I'm saying something and you have a question, no worries. All right, okay, so let's get started. Today we're going to talk about writing, okay? And I know that writing is a part of the test that most people struggle with. Okay, that's why it's actually my specialty. So as a teacher, we tend to become experts on the things that our students struggle with. So that's why I'm an expert, IELTS writing expert, all right? And today we're gonna talk about having ideas for the writing. Okay, so I don't know if you've experienced that. I have a lot of students who have experienced that. One thing they tell me is, Fabi, I get to the part, okay, so I get the writing part, I look at the question, and I don't have any ideas, okay? That's something that happens often with some people, okay? I have some strategies and some things that you can do to improve that, okay? But remember that sometimes it can be hard, okay? But you can do it. All right, so let's get started, okay? So, first of all, when you say I have no ideas, okay, people mean different things by that, okay? But one thing I would like you to always remember is when it comes to the IELTS test, okay, they are asking you to write your opinion about a topic. And again, it's not like what's your opinion on a political situation in your country. What's your opinion about that company? No, it's not like that, right? It's usually a very specific topic and it's just your opinion. Or they're just going to ask you to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of something specific. Or they're going to ask you to agree or disagree. Or they're going to ask you to discuss both sides of one topic. Okay? So my advice, if you feel that you don't have a lot of ideas, okay, when you're doing the writing, keep it simple. What do I mean by that, okay? Actually, I find that it's harder to deal with people who have a lot of ideas than with people who have fewer ideas. Because if you have a lot of ideas, you want to write everything. You can't really choose. Okay, so if you have fewer ideas, maybe you can have just one or two topics. And what do you do with them? You expand. Okay, so that's one of the most important things, I think, when it comes to ideas for the writing. Okay, because again, guys, I always say to my students, in the writing part, for example, if they ask you to describe advantages and disadvantages about a topic, you are not going to write a list of advantages and a list of disadvantages. If you do that, you're probably going to get a low score because you're probably going to have lots of simple sentences just talking about a list. However, if you choose 1 or 2 points and you expand these points, if you explore these points, then you're likely to get a higher score. So you don't need a lot of ideas, honestly. You just need maybe 1 or 2, but then you have to work on expanding them. Okay, guys? So that's one thing that you can actually do. Okay, but I can see also that some people, they will see a topic that they are not familiar with and they would just freeze, which is understandable. Okay, sometimes if we have a topic that we are good at, then we decided to spend some we have more ideas for it. Okay, and then if you have a topic that we are not very familiar with, then we don't have a lot of ideas. That's understandable. Okay, but just remember that you always have something to say. Okay, let's think about a common one. I think this is actually a task too for the general test. Okay, one is to talk about advantages and disadvantages of houses and apartments. Some you have an opinion, okay, guys, about houses and apartments. We all have our favorites. Okay, and we can always see, like, for example, I live in a house at the moment. I love it because the space, but God, we have a garden, and I'm not very good at gardening. I like plants, but I'm not very good at gardening. All right, so I have to get someone to come here. It's not very cheap. All right, even though I love the house, there's also a negative side to it. Okay, so you always have something to say. Okay, but one thing that I think that one mistake that a lot of people make is sometimes you look at the question and you start thinking about answering it in your own language. Okay, and yes, if you have the ideas in your own language, then it'll be easier for you because maybe you're not used to talking about this topic in English. All right, so maybe just draw the line and think about, okay, so I can think about this topic in my language, but I'm not so good at talking about it in English. Okay, so how can you deal with that? Keep it simple. Okay, guys, so sometimes it will be hard, I know, okay? That's why it's a good idea to always practice, okay? And translating is not very good either, okay? But just think about, with my vocabulary in English, what can I talk about? Okay, how can I expand this? Okay, because remember, it's all about expanding the ideas you have. It's not really about having a big list of ideas, but you choose 2, 3, sometimes even 4. It depends on the type of question there you're being asked. Okay, guys, and then from there, you will expand and you add to your main idea and keep it simple. Okay, and don't expect to say something that you would say in your language, maybe, because depending on your level of English, what you would say in your language is much more than you would say in English. Okay, so try to keep it simple. Okie dokie, yeah, because for example, I have a student, okay, she did the IELTS many times because she was actually just studying writing with me. She was studying everything else by herself. But it was really interesting because she did the IELTS a few times and she needed a 6 overall. So she needed 6 in each part and overall 6. And for some reason, she would always get a score below 6. Her writing was pretty consistent. Okay, but she would always get 1 below 6. So she would get, for example, everything 6, but then the reading would be 5.5. And then she struggled with the reading for a while. And then I gave her a few tips and then she improved a little bit, but then her listening was low. So she would never manage to get 6 in every single part. Okay, so that was a big challenge for her. But the interesting thing was that she did the test many times and I followed her steps, but I was helping her mostly with her writing, okay? And for writing, she was getting 6, 6.5, 6, 6.5. She would complain about the topics. Oh, Fabi, this topic was terrible. It was about crime, or no, it was about ads. I had a student struggling with ads recently, yet asking about ads. And then one day she got a 7. Okay, so unfortunately, she got, I think, 5.5 for her speaking. So she couldn't get the score. And but she got a 7 in writing. And I wasn't really expecting that because I was checking her writing quite often. I always tell her, you're around the 6, 6.5 in my opinion. Okay, and then she got a 7. And I was like, okay, so what was the topic? And she was like, education. She's a teacher. Okay, she was a teacher in Brazil, and here in Australia she works in childcare. So education is her topic. That's what she does, right? So she got a 7. And I was like, it was easy, like, oh my God, I wrote the task 2 in like 30 minutes because it was so easy for me. And then she said, oh, now I can see the difference. If it's a topic that I know a lot about, I can easily write about it. Yeah. So guys, her score improved 0.5 point. Okay, maybe that is what you need in the end of the day. Okay, just a little bit more. Okay, and maybe having a topic that you like, that you know about, will help you. Okay, but she was getting 6, 6.5 writing about topics that she knows nothing about. Okay, so it is possible. Okay, maybe you're not going to be able to achieve the highest score, but then you have to be lucky maybe to get the score you need, okay, and get the topic that it's easier for you on that day. Okay, so yeah, so so that's something you can try. Okay, so another thing, yeah, so I was talking about my other student. He was struggling with ads. Yeah, so for some reason one of his weaknesses was to talk about advertising. And then we actually worked on a topic about advertising, and he didn't do very well. And guess what? On the day of the test, he got the same topic. Okay, he got a 6.5, but he needed a 7, unfortunately. So it wasn't the best. Okay, but then he tried again a month later and he got the 7. Yay, very good. But yeah, but it was his weakness. Okay, but when I read his practice for me, I would give him a 6. I was like, oh my God, this is not very good. It's not you, because he was getting like good scores, right? But then the same week, so what did we do? So he told me, hey Fabi, this one was hard for me. And then I looked at it, I was like, it's not very good. You have ideas, but you were not able to expand it that well. He's like, yeah, I know. So I'm like, yeah, maybe this month's not going to be a 7, more like a 6. Said, okay, so what can I do? I said, let's focus on vocabulary related to this topic. And he said, great. So we talked a little bit about it. I gave him some activities to do. And then, yeah, the same week he did a test and he got the same topic and he got a 6.5. So it worked. Okay, guys. So when you say you don't have ideas, you do have ideas. Okay, guys, you always have ideas. The thing is, maybe you are not going to have the amount of ideas you'd like to. Okay, that's the main thing. So we have to work with our expectations. Okay, so the example I always give is sports. If I don't like sports very much, I don't like watching sports, I don't like practicing sports, I go to the gym. Okay, but if there is a topic about teamwork, about, for example, like sports and teams and competition, it would take me a while, but I would be able to write something about it. Okay, but maybe it's not going to be my best writing. Okay, because one thing I feel happens is that sometimes people just freeze and they think about it and they think, okay, I know nothing about this topic, I can't do this. Okay, that is wrong, guys. That is not correct. You know something, you can write something. Maybe it's not going to be your best work because you're not familiar with the topic, but you can do something about it, okay? It might take a little bit longer, and sometimes people freak out with that too, because maybe you did you had a writing task. It was a topic that you liked, that you know about, and you did it very quickly. And then you get a topic that you don't know much about, and it takes you a little bit longer. It's okay. You don't know much about a topic. Maybe you have to think a little bit more, and that's completely fine. Okay, that's completely fine, guys. So just bear this in mind. Okay, that's why I feel that preparing yourself is so important, and practicing. Okay, just so you set expectations. Okay, so let's say, for example, I'm a teacher. I love education. So if I get a topic related to education, it's gonna be very easy for me to write, and I go bang, 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 write, done, submit. If it's about sports, I know I'm not very good at it. If it takes me longer, that's completely fine. If it's not my best work, that's completely fine. Okay? But now you ask me, okay, Fabi, I need a 7, let's say, or I need a 6, and the topic is, I don't know, health and fitness, and I know nothing about this topic. What do I do on the day of the test? Okay. On the day of the test, I'm sorry, you don't have to do much. You can do much, okay? But of course, you can write something, trust me. Okay, there is something you can do, okay? But I would like to tell you now something you can do before you are in that situation, okay? So something you can do before you go to the test, which is think about the topics that are difficult for you. Think about the topics that you looked at before and you had problems with. Think about that, okay? So how can you do that? You just can remember. If you have a good memory, you remember, okay? Or if you have been practicing for the IELTS exam, just look back at some writing tasks that you did before. Look at them, okay? Look at the ones that were easy for you. Look at the ones that were difficult for you to get ideas for, okay? Or even look at the ones that if you have someone looking at your writing, okay, look at the ones that whoever looked at your writing gave you the best feedback. The one that the person gave you the worst feedback. All right, so thinking about that will help you decide the topics that you have to work on, okay? And again, guys, if you get a topic that you are not very good at, and if you notice it on the day of the test while you're doing the test, the only thing you can do is to keep it simple. Okay, but if you prepare for it, okay, if you think about this in advance, you can look up ideas, you can look up words, okay? So just an example again, what did I do with that student who was struggling with ads, okay? So there's a book called Vocabulary for IELTS. It's a Cambridge book. Amazing book. I absolutely love this book. And then there's a chapter talking about advertising. Okay, I think it's media. I think the topic is media. Okay, and it does talk about that. So what did we do? We looked at it together. Okay, there was a text. We read the text. We discussed the text. Then there was some vocabulary that he knew, some vocabulary that was new to him. And then we discussed a few questions, and then there were some activities, and he did them. Okay, that improved half a point of his score. Okay, so that improved half a point of his score. So maybe that's all you need to get the score you need. Okay, or maybe that's what you need to get closer to your score. Okay, guys, but how do you find out what's easy for you, what's difficult for you? It's through practice. Okay, only through practice you will know what's easy for you and what is hard and what you can do to improve. Okay, so if you are the kind of person who thinks about that and says, okay, I struggle with ideas, I get to the writing task and I don't know where to start, okay, especially when it comes to ideas, maybe it's time for you to really reflect on what are the topics that I'm not very good at. Just so when you get there and let's say the topic is, let me think about the recent topic. There was one about celebrities. Yeah, about, one talking about whether being famous has more positive things or more benefits or disadvantages. Yeah, so maybe you never really thought about the topic. okay? But if you get that on the day of the test, maybe you don't have a lot of ideas for that. But just think about that, when you're practicing. Let's say you get this one and you're practicing and you don't have a lot of ideas. Maybe that one you should look at it and say, oh my God, I don't know much about this topic. Maybe you can stop right there, go do some research, okay? Read about celebrities, read about how they feel. Yeah, some celebrities are taking time off work, okay, because they can't be in the limelight. Ooh, good word, limelight, okay? They can be in social media that much anymore. They're stressed, they have anxiety. Maybe you didn't know that, but if you just read the news, you might find that out. And then there are so many people trying to be famous, and then you think about that like, oh, these people are trying to be famous, so that's probably why they're doing this, and these people are not doing it because of that. That's your writing right there, okay? But again, I'm not telling you to go do research and copy, okay? Maybe just read a few things, then put that to the side, then look at the task, okay? And then you can use some ideas to do your writing, okay? So that's a strategy that works really, really well. I have seen people improving their scores a lot just by looking at some topics, okay? Because a lot of people ask me, oh, what kind of English should I practice and all of that? Guys, yeah, so just I always say that the best English for the IELTS is the English from the IELTS test, okay? So what should you study? Whatever is there, whatever is required for you on the IELTS test, that's what you should be studying, okay? And I always talk to my students about the fact that when we are practicing, sometimes we practice under exam conditions, and sometimes we practice just practicing. We take our time. So just go ahead and think about that. Today, how am I going to practice? If you have a difficult topic, maybe that's how you should practice, okay? If you have a difficult topic, okay, so this one, I'm going to practice slowly. This one, I'm going to look at the topic, and then I'm going to read something about it, then I'm going to come back. Again, guys, I'm not talking about copying, okay? It's not copying, it's not that. Just doing some research and then going back to it. And if it's a topic that you're good at, all right, maybe this one I'm going to do under exam conditions, okay? All right, so it's a combination of both. All right, does anyone have any questions about writing today? About writing, about ideas? Okay, let me look at my notes. Did I forget anything? Yeah. I think that the most important thing today would be finding out what you're good at and what you're bad at, and maybe trying to improve what you're not so good at. Okay. And remember, this is a special live, okay, for the, oh, hi, someone said hi, hello. If you have any questions concerning writing, guys, just pop them in and I will answer them, okay? Yeah. So this is a special live, okay, for the event that is going to happen on Saturday. Brisbane, so it's probably going to be Friday night in South America. Okay, so it's an event to give you some tips. It's a workshop, okay, telling you everything you need to know to get the score you need on the IELTS test and do the test only once. Okay, guys? Okay, so he's saying, I learned English 10 years ago, but I just use it for my job. Okay, yeah, so you probably know a lot about one specific topic, right? So yeah, so if you're going to do the IELTS exam, I think the first step, so I started to write and how can you improve it? Yeah, so if you're writing for the IELTS test, okay, so maybe just do what I just suggested, which is if you are very good in English in one specific topic, okay, what you can do as you're practicing for the IELTS exam, maybe just get when you have the task that you have to do, okay, look at the task, look at the topic. And then maybe before you actually do the writing itself, maybe just do some research about the topic. Okay, so getting books that have vocabulary, okay, now having books that focus on the IELTS exam, like vocabulary for, there are lots of books like vocabulary for IELTS, okay, so maybe just go to that book and check if they have the topic that you want to practice, okay, or just going and looking for things online. Also, I don't like lists, okay, guys? So let's say the topic you want to know about is the environment. Okay, so you have a question about the environment, and then you go online and you look up IELTS words for the environment, and then you get a list. I don't like lists that much because it's just words. I think it's better if you read something about the topic and then you get familiar, because you're actually looking at the topic, not just words, not just academic words. Okay, so that's something that you can try. Okay. Yeah, so, and again, maybe you're gonna have a lot of topics that you're not very good at, that you have to practice, so that might take some time. But just creating this practice of doing more things in English. So if you are very good at talking in English in your job, maybe it's time for you to start doing other things in English too. Reading things in English, okay, especially concerning the topics that you're not very good at. Okay. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, any other questions, guys? They might have. Yeah, guys, because this thing of improving your vocabulary, okay, I feel that in the beginning, it might be a little bit slow. But once you get the hang of it, I feel that some students, you create kind of your little process to improve your vocabulary. And once you start doing it, you get very good at it. But you can't stop. Okay, you can't stop. And again, I also feel that another thing that is quite positive is that if you keep doing research and looking at all different topics, you have more to talk about in English too, because you have other things, okay, to talk about. You have better vocabulary, and you can also express yourself better, right? And that's what we want, right? We want to express ourselves in English. And remember, we're doing the IELTS because we have a final goal. I don't know. Maybe you're doing the IELTS test because you want to study abroad. Maybe you're doing the IELTS test because you want to live abroad, work abroad. IELTS is just one step to get to your main goal, okay? And your main goal definitely includes English, living in English, working in English, and studying in English. So if you can also add that to your IELTS practice, it will help you improve your score and will also help you in the future. All right, okay. Any other questions, guys? No more questions. Okay, if no more questions, I'm gonna go. Okay, so feel free to just send me a question later. Okay, guys, so you can send me direct messages here on Facebook. You can leave a comment also. I think comments are easier for me to see. And the good thing about the comments is that if you leave a comment, everyone can see. And if you have a question, maybe more people have the same question, okay? And that's it. All right. And if you have any questions, also you can send me an email at fabi@fabienglish.com. All right. Okay. So I'm going to go now. Okay. And I will see you next time. And remember, if you want to take part in the workshop, okay, you can click on the link. Okay. Oh, wait, there's another question. Okay, so do you have any information about the aviation test and how to improve speaking for the topic? Okay, so no, I don't know much about aviation, but I think there is a book, English for Aviation. There is a book for English for Management. There is a book, English for Engineering, because I've helped lots of engineers. And I'm sure there is a book for English for Aviation. Okay. And of course, working with a teacher is always good. Okay. But these books, they tend to be easy also to use by yourself. Okay. So look it up. Aviation, English for Aviation. I think that's the name of the book. It's probably a Cambridge book. Okay, or maybe there's more than one, because I know that Cambridge has a very good collection when it comes to fields of work. Okay, and English. Okay, so they usually do a really good job on that. Okay, so look it up and let me know. Yeah, try that one. Yeah, and I think it's a book that is not that difficult to use by yourself. Okay, and one thing that I also suggest, maybe if you're going to use this book by yourself, instead of using the translator, try to stick to Cambridge Dictionary, because then you'll be doing everything in English. Okay, and then you learn even more. All right? Okay, guys. Okay, any other questions? Send me a message later. All right, so I'm going to go and I'll see you later. Bye.